Learners and beautiful people, my name is CPA Aringo Frederick, a lecturer in mDarasa e-learning platform, voted as the best e-learning platform in East Africa. Thank you guys for that. So today's session is a very extraordinary session. Today's session is a session that will assist us to always pass exams on first attempt. And basically we are talking of KASNEB exams. You'll just be passing these exams on first attempt. Because what you should understand is that at any given point you're talking about KASNEB papers. These are professional papers. These are professional papers. And to handle or to work out these papers, you have to be very smart, right? And today's session, I believe by the end of this session, trust you me, at no any given point will you ever do KASNEB exams twice. Because it's a smart way and approach that you can always use for you to hack these exams on first attempt. So, I'll want us to talk about how we can pass KASNEB exams on first attempt. Because many a times you'll find that passing KASNEB exams to many students is always a mountainous task. Because you'll find that a student can take even say like almost 5 years or even 7 years just completing these papers from section 1 to section 6. Yet, there is a student who might take 1.5 years to complete all these papers. What is the secret between this person who is taking 7 years and this person who will take 1.5 years? At times, it's always not about luck, but it's always about how smart you work out these exams. Because in our last video, I did how you can prepare for KASNEB exams with the limited time available. Today's session, I want us now to look how we can handle KASNEB exams. Now you are in an exam room. So to do that, we are going to dissect these papers, KASNEB exams specifically for CPA. So we are saying KASNEB exams, how to pass KASNEB exams, how to pass KASNEB exams. And what we should understand is that KASNEB exams, these are professional papers. These are professional papers. These are professional papers. KASNEB exams, ideally, these are professional papers. These are professional papers. And you have to be very smart. This is not an academic paper, right? This is not an academic paper. So, dissecting the KASNEB exams, I want us to look at the papers. Specifically, when you're talking about CPA, because the same concept will apply for CIFA, the same concept will apply for ATD, the same concept will apply for CAMS. So, it will be very important for us to understand how these papers are categorized. It will be very important for us to understand how these papers are categorized. You'll find that probably some of you or majority of you never know about this, but today we are going to learn. KASNEB exams are categorized into 3 parts. That is, we normally tend to talk about statement papers being our number 1, statement papers being our number 1, statement papers. And when you are talking about statement papers, my beautiful people, we are looking at the following. We normally tend to talk about, term it as A. This is financial accounting. FA, section 1. We normally tend to talk about public finance and taxation, PFT, section 2. We normally tend to talk about financial reporting, that is in section 3. We normally tend to talk about advanced financial reporting, that is in section 6, and we normally tend to talk about advanced public finance and taxation, which is also in section 6. Then again, number 2, we normally tend to talk about these papers known as what? Theory papers. So number 2, we normally tend to talk about theory papers. Theory papers. Theory papers. And when you are looking at theory papers, ideally, we are talking of the following. We are talking about these papers. A, we normally tend to talk about business law, which is in section 1. B, we normally tend to talk about entrepreneurship and communication, which is in section 1 again. We normally tend to talk about economics, which is in section 2. We normally tend to talk about company law, which is in section 3. MIS, which is in section 4. Talk of auditing and assurance, which is in section 4. Then we have this paper known as SGE, commonly known as what? SALGA. Known as SALGA. I'm going to give you a history why you normally tend to term SGE as SALGA. Then we normally tend to have the last paper, theory, which is advanced auditing and assurance, which is in section 6. This is category number 2. Category number 3, we normally tend to talk about the paper known as what? These are quantitative. These are quantitative papers. Quantitative papers. Quantitative papers. Quantitative papers. Quantitative papers. And when you are talking of quantitative papers, my good students, we normally tend to talk about management accounting section 2. We normally tend to talk about financial management section 3. We normally tend to talk about QA. This is in section 4. And we normally tend to talk about advanced management and accounting section 5. And we have the paper known as what? Advanced financial management section 5 again. So these are quantitative papers. So what you should understand is that at this point, we have 3 categories of papers. That is statement papers, theory papers, and quantitative papers. Anytime you're looking at the structure of CPA. Anytime you're looking at the structure of CPA, you should always recall that we have these categories. Now, how will I pass these papers on first attempt? First of all, let us dissect each and every category, starting by the statement papers. By the way, do you know that statement papers are the easiest papers that you can ever pass in professional papers, more so when it comes to KASNEB, specifically CPA, CIFA, ATD, and even CAMS? The statement papers are the easiest papers that you can ever pass. And I'm going to give you the reason why, and I believe you are also going to agree with me that ideally these are the easiest papers that you can ever pass. I never understand why majority of the students, they normally tend to say that financial reporting is kind of very hard, or even advanced financial reporting is hard, maybe a PFT or even a FA. It's all about strategy. And this is what I want to give you. Strategy on how you can apply that strategy while in exams and pass these papers on first attempt. So let us first of all start by dissecting the statement papers. But even before we go there, I want us to always have this in mind, that anytime we are handling these papers, it is always very key for us to be open-minded. It is very important for us to always think beyond the 4 walls. Think beyond the 4 walls that you are in that exam room. Always try to put your antennae outside the class, outside that exam room. And trust you me, you will be able to think very well and also apply your extra knowledge apart from class knowledge to handle these papers. So, starting by statement papers. At this point, we are talking of FA, PFT, FR, and APFT. Why is Mwalimu saying that these are the easiest paper to pass? This is a reason. This is a reason, and I want you to grasp and mark it very correctly. These are the easiest papers to pass because this will be the structure. This will be the structure of these papers. This will be the structure of these papers. And here you normally understand that you'll always be having 5 questions, which are all compulsory to handle. So, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. At this point, we are talking of what? The statement papers. Compulsory, all of them, you must handle them, right? So, in question number 1, you will find that at this point, it has been designed in this way. Maybe you are given A, you are given B, and you are given C. Same way with question number 2, maybe you are given A, you are given B, and you are given C. Trust me, you can also check on your papers. As you are doing this, you can also check that structure in your papers. At times, probably, maybe you can also be given, say, like, maybe you can be given, say, like, maybe A and maybe B only. At times, they can do that. Or you can be given A, B, C, and D. A, B, C, and D. And 5, the same concept, you can be given, say, A, B, and C. And you will find that on A, maybe you're given, say, like, theory. These are theory. You're given, say, like, say, 6 marks, right? Maybe part B, you're given, say, like, 2 marks. Part C, that is a calculation part. Then part A, maybe you're given, say, like, 8 marks. Maybe you'll find that, again, this other case I'll be given, say, like, calculation, B and C will be calculations. Then talk of A and B, maybe A, you're given, say, like, 4 marks, right? And C, maybe that is, or rather B, that is calculation. A, maybe theory part, you're given, say, like, 2 marks. Maybe you're given, say, like, B, maybe you're given, say, like, 4 marks. Okay? Then question number 5, maybe you're given, say, like, 6 marks. Theory. These are just theory part that you're talking about. Then maybe you're given, say, like, another 2 marks. These are theory that you're talking about. Up to that point, my good students will find that we'll be talking of how many marks. Up to that point, if we can add up all these marks, you'll find that we'll be talking of the first case, this is 8 marks. Right? This is 8 marks. You're talking about 8 marks. You're talking about, say, like, 4 marks. You're talking about, say, like, these are 6 marks. And you're talking about, like, these are 8 marks. Right? So, we are talking of 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8. You're talking about 34% already. These are theory parts, right? These are theory parts. This theory part already, we are talking about 34%. And the beauty part with these statement papers when you ask about theory is something that probably now that will depend on the lecturer. When you are handling a certain concept, of course, you must always give students the theory part, explaining how that topic will be. And these are ideally what will always be asked. And also at times, it will always be a matter of you always thinking beyond what you are taught. It's all about you being an open-minded person. If you're an open-minded person, you'll find that this will be very easy for you. It will be very, very easy for you. Now, you have 34%. Never leave a blank space when it comes to theory. Never leave a blank space when it comes to theory. You have 34%. Trust me, on this 34%, if you're good enough, you can scoop all of the 34%, or assuming you go with aspect of say like 30%, because it's very possible, because it's a theory part. Then again, you'll find that the remaining percentage, which is 66%, the remaining percentage, which is 66%, these are now the aspect of what? Calculations. And ideally, these ones are also very easy to scoop. So, this is a structure. Now, what is a strategy? What is a strategy to handle all this? When you are given these papers, my good students, this is what you should always learn. First of all, go through all the 5 questions without doing anything. It's just a matter of you familiarizing yourself with what has been asked. After you've gone through all these questions, give yourself, say, like 10 minutes going through all these questions. You just remain cool. Of course, after you've prayed, right? After you've prayed, you just remain cool. You go through all this, you go through all these questions. You can take roughly like 10 minutes going through this paper, or going through these questions. Now, after you've gone through the questions, the other thing to do is this, and kindly mark this very well and have it at the back of your mind. Question number 1, sketch your points just beside the question. On that question paper, sketch your points in regard to the aspect of the theory. Then when it comes to the statement, maybe you are asked the aspect of statement of cash flows. The question will be, do you still remember the format? Because I'm going to explain that one. Just have the format, a sketch format. Go to question number 2, the same case, you're just sketching your marks, you're just sketching your points, plus doing a sketch format. You are kind of the same case, doing a sketch format, because you'll always be asked about kind of a statement. And ideally, on this case, you normally tend to have formats all through. The same case, you just do like that. Remember, these are statement papers that you're talking about. How to handle the statement papers, right? So, the same concept. You just do on all the questions that you'll be having. You'll find that on the sketch, my good student, on the sketch plus just having the format, that will take you roughly like, say like, that should take you roughly like 15 minutes, or even give it a max of 20 minutes. Already, you spend roughly like 30 minutes on your exam room. Probably a person will reason that this is too much time that I'm wasting. It's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of time, because already you will have a skeleton on what you are expected to do. Also, it will reduce that time of looking at the skies. You're looking at the ceiling board. It's always very common in exams, right? You're looking at the ceiling, trying to scratch your head. You'll find that having this, your mind is very fresh. You'll avoid all this. Now, after you've gone through all these questions like that, and you've marked your points on a sketch, this is how you're going to handle it again. Already, first of all, avoid question number 1. And I'm going to give you the reason why. Avoid question number 1. During your sketches, yes, you've done all that, but try to avoid starting with question number 1. I'm going, and I gave you that, I think I gave you that point in our previous videos. Then, on these 4 questions that you have, now put all this on papers. You'll find that it will take you a very short time, because you have the sketches in mind. You have everything that you've sketched in mind. You just be putting now your points without a lot of looking at the ceiling, right? Now, after you've completed all that, the theory parts and the aspect of the format, with the format, this is what you can do. You have all your theories. In this case, with the sketches, my good student, trust you me, you can scoop, say like the theory was 34%. You can scoop without even thinking, just from your sketches. You can scoop up to say like 20%. You can scoop, say like the 20% you've scooped from your sketches. That is in regard to theory. Now, while handling theory, if you now probably go to explanation, that is where it will take you, say like, yes, the theory is 34%, but assuming you're not getting the 100%, you'll find yourself getting up to 30%. That is theory part. That's why theory is also very, very important. Now, on this calculations part, you have your format well. Maybe because you'll always be asked about statement of cash flows. The question is, do you have the statement of cash flow? You'll always be asked about statement of financial position. Do you have the format of statement of financial position at the back of your mind? You'll always be asked about to prepare the income statement. Do you have the format of this income statement? Probably when it comes to tax, maybe you're asked to prepare statement of adjusted taxable income. Do you know the approach that you're going to use? Maybe you're asked to prepare the aspect of prepare or determine the taxable income. Do you have the approaches or do you have the format? And that is why it's very key. That is why it's very key. That is why it's very key. I've repeated it thrice. For you to always, even if things get tough, kindly have the formats at the back of your head, because that is the secret of passing these statement papers. Because trust you me, the moment you have your format right, you'll always be having direct entries. You'll find that a question of say like 12 marks, assuming you are looking at question number 1, which is 12 marks calculation, right? You'll find that out of these 12 marks, direct entries are 8. Trust you me. Direct entries are 8. Because the part of working, in that case, it will give you, say, like 4 marks out of 12. But whatever that the examiner has given you on that paper, direct entries are roughly like 8 marks. And that's why I am insisting, before you go to your exams, kindly, when it comes to these statement papers, try to grasp the formats at the back of your head, because the format ideally will always be the same. If it is the income statement format, it's just the same. If it is statement of financial position format, it's just the same. Maybe when you're dealing with the groups consolidation, that is where you're going to have items like NCI, components, and all that. But ideally, you'll find that they are common. When it comes to tax, when it comes to financial accounting, the formats are always the same. You'll find that theory, you have 30%. I want you guys to follow me here very well. Theory, you have, say, like 30% already. The remaining, the one that we had seen, the remaining percentage, which was at 66 marks. For 66%, which is calculation, you'll find that just even without doing your workings, you've just put your format and you've inserted all your direct entries. You'll find that out of 66, trust you me, you are going to get, say, like 40% or even up to 50%. Out of 66%, without doing any working, without struggling with a lot of workings, and all that, you'll find that direct entries plus the formats, out of 66 marks that has remained, you are going to get 40% or even 50%. Let us go with the minimum. You have, say, like 40%. We are going with the minimum. You've scooped 40%. Trust me, my good student, you're talking of how many percentage here? You're talking of 70%. Have you passed or have you not passed? Because at this level, you just be chasing awards. At this level, you just be chasing awards. But many a times, CPA students normally tend to say that, so long as nimepata 50, so long as I'm on the other side, I'm just fine. But trust you me, look at this case. A very simple strategy that you can use for you to handle these statement papers. A very simple strategy. Because at this point, you have your theory, 30%. So you not scope for 100%. Now on the calculation bit, you just remain 66%. Just using the formats, because you can pass even without doing your workings for these statement papers. You've scoped 40% in regard to the calculation, so long as you have the formats at the back of your mind. That is the only key strategy. And trust you me, doing all the analysis, it has taken you, say, like 30 minutes, right? working out the theory part plus the sketch format, this give it, say, like almost 1.5 hours. To be practical, give it like 1.5 hours, just to be practical, right? Just to be practical, give it, because you are not doing any form of workings. Your work is just copying and pasting. Your work is just copying and pasting. Give it, say, like 1.5 hours. So in this case, you're talking of 1.5 hours, right? So total hours already, you have 2 hours that you've used. You've remained with 1 hour extra of maybe trying to go through some workings and getting your points well. You'll find that passing these papers will be very easy. At times, many students, they normally tend to fail these papers a lot more so when it comes to FR and FR, simply because they don't have a strategy on how to approach these papers. And I believe from today, if you're in section 1, if you're in section 6, or even if you're in section 3, progressing on, I believe it will be very simple for you now to handle these papers and clear them on first attempt, passing them on first attempt. So long as you have applied this strategy, trust you me, you will be in a very good position, because at least it will avoid this case, whereby at times examiner, or rather the invigilator, will say, you've only remained with, say, like 2 hours. Imagine you are still in question 1. You remain with 2 hours and you're still in question 1, trying to work out, trying to do some workings which will take you more than 1 hour. And yet, there is this strategy that you can use for you to pass very easily. So by the time examiner is telling you that you remain with 1 hour, you'll just be laughing, because already you know you'll have scooped almost up to 70%. Whatever that you'll be looking at now is just trying to do these workings. Try to do the workings. So this is a strategy that you're supposed to use when it comes to such papers. And ideally, it is always very key. And trust you me, it will really assist you. So guys, I want you to apply this strategy. As you are doing your exams probably very soon, as you are preparing to do exams, kindly, I want you guys to approach this strategy, and you'll never regret. You will never regret. That's a promise I'm giving you. You'll never regret. So, key element we've said, have the format at the back of your mind. Never leave theory blank space. Even if you don't know, just try to put something that's making sense. So long as you've used this approach that I've given you, you will be in a very, very good position in passing all these exams. That was in statement papers. So I believe right now you are very good. And in the event that probably you feel that you need more guidance, you can always contact us on the number that has been written down there. Ideally, for these tips, we are going to give you totally for free. We're going to advise you on how you can work it out. Or for those probably who cannot see the number there, we are talking about 0708 068 851. You can always contact us on that number, and we'll always be there to assist you. So I can say that we are done with the aspect of the statement papers. Now, let us look at how you can handle theory papers. So you are done with the statement papers, right? You are done with the statement papers. Now, what's the best approach to handle theory papers? What's the best approach to handle the theory papers? The best approach to handle theory papers. And specifically, I did specifically for SGE Salga, because I know this is where an issue normally comes. At times, the mistake that a lot of students normally tend to say is that these theory papers are very easy to pass. But trust you me, at times, to many students, it's always a challenge. Because you'll find that, yes, you'll have passed all these other papers. But when it comes to theory, something went wrong. Maybe you didn't perform very well in a certain paper, basically for theory. Now, the question is, what is the secret of working, or what is the secret of doing this exam for theory? I talked about how to prepare for these exams. Now we are doing these exams. I am in that exam room doing the exam. So for theory, nowadays you'll find that again, we normally tend to have 5 questions which are all compulsory. Question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, and question number 5. The same concept that we used in working out the statement papers, it is also the same concept that you can use in handling these theory papers. So like you have your paper. The first thing that you need to do, first of all, is to go through all the questions. Now, after you've gone through all the questions, my good student, which is very key, the other thing that you're going to do is what? The other thing that you're going to do is sketch your points. Just be sketching your points on that question paper. There's no harm. There's no harm. There's no harm. Sketch your points. Sketch your points. Sketch your points. Sketch your points. And at this point, I want us to agree that we are open-minded. We are thinking beyond class. Because the worst mistake that you can ever do is to cram. Also when it comes to this theory. Nowadays, it has been designed in a way that you are being tested on the concept. And that's why in my classes, if you've seen most of my classes, I normally tend to insist on grasping the concept rather than cramming. That's why in my classes, I'll always insist about you understanding the concept and not cramming. So, this is what you are going to do. This is what you are going to do. We have sketched all our points, the one that you can sketch. After you've sketched all your points, come and identify where you have a lot of sketched points, because that is the best question that you can do. Sketch where you have a lot of points. Now, where you have a lot of points, that's the question that you're going to start with. That's the question that you're going to start with. Maybe when you're talking about business law, like this one, you must just have the concept right. Entrepreneurship and communication, ideally, is just a matter of application. It's about you thinking beyond the four walls, because these are some things that these are the concepts that do surround us. When it comes to economics, of course, for economics, there are some key areas that you must always be very good at, of which I'm going to explain in our next video. When it comes to company law, at this point, you just have to have the concept. Application is very minimal. MIS, nowadays, if you can take that paper for MIS, trust me, you'll find that only 20% is probably what is in your books. And that one, I can tell you for free. If you take this paper for MIS, trust me, 20%, or even if it's maybe a higher percentage, give you 25%, that is what in your books. Meaning that 75% is upon you to apply. It's upon you to think beyond the four walls. It's upon you to think beyond classroom. Auditing and assurance, also I'm going to give you strategy on how you can work it out, because we normally tend to have some specific concepts that if you grasp in auditing, you are done. Some specific concept that if you grasp in auditing, you are done with that topic. You are done with that unit completely. What about SGE? This is SALGA. A very interesting unit nowadays in Section 5. Actually, it has become a serial killer more than AFM. At times, SGE, or maybe always at this point, you'll find that if you ask any student of Section 5 SGE, probably, who has attempted SGE, you're going to get the reason. It has become a serial killer simply because a lot of students, they lack strategy on how to work it out. But I gave you that strategy. Still, I'm going to share the same strategy. Auditing and assurance again. You'll find that because this is at a form of at this level for auditing, it's all about investigation. So there are some key areas that, again, if you grasp, you'll be very good in auditing. So that, to that point, my good students, I'll want you guys to join me in the next part, whereby I'll be explaining and give you guys strategy on how to handle these quantitative papers, because they are also very important. And at times also students, they normally term them as serial killer. Also when it comes to QA, when it comes to FM or even MA, I don't understand why people normally tend to say that it is quite hard, but it's all about strategy, as we had mentioned. Because this is purely a professional, this is a purely a professional paper. Now, I want you guys to join me in the next session, whereby I'm going to explain to you guys on how you can handle quantitative papers very comfortably. And I believe when you'll be doing your exams, you will be in a very, very good position of working it out. Currently, Mdarasa, we are ongoing with our block revisions. So if you haven't joined any block revision for Mdarasa, kindly, it is now high time that you should join. You can always contact us using the phone that you've given, the phone number that you've given there below, below this video. Alternatively, you can visit us. Right now, we have a physical location. Thank God for you guys, that support that you've given us. It has enabled us. Right now, we have a physical location where you can visit us. Because of that demand that you guys, you want to visit our physical location when it comes to classes, we have our offices along Latema Road, and now we have physical classes which you can join along Moi Avenue, Mageso Chambers. This is just in front of Big Square along Moi Avenue for those who are within Nairobi. So to that juncture, guys, thank you so much. Join me in the next session whereby we are going to see the best ways on how we can hack quantitative papers. Thank you so much.